I think sometimes we can forget that movement creates mindfulness. The more that we move our fucking body, the better we're going to feel. And that's just simply natural for us. That's in our human nature to be able to move our body and to move our body freely. Mindfulness comes from the present moment, and the more that we evolve it in our daily routines into our daily habits, we can find ourselves to be more present, to feel more grounded, to be more attached to the present moment. I like to think that mindfulness is created by us. And one of the ways that it is created by us is something that we do all the motherfucking time, and that is breathing. Something as simple as inhaling and exhaling, can not only help us bring awareness to our breath or focusing into the present moment, but we can also help ourselves detach away from thinking too much into the past or thinking too much into the future. A lot of times when we are experiencing these emotions, whether it's fear, anxiety, anger, a lot of times we forget to breathe. Sometimes we got to remind ourselves to breathe sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And I think the moment that we can start to do that, we can start to ground ourselves to be more comfortable inside our own skin and not too much in our fucking head, right? I think a lot of times when we are trying to create mindfulness within ourselves, you know, a lot of times we judge ourselves for it. We focus on the past things that we did, and we focus on, oh, why can't I do this? We almost kind of give into our negative thinking patterns. But I think we have to try to separate ourselves from that pessimistic thinking, from those intrusive thoughts, from those negative thinking patterns. And one of the ways that you can do that is trying to focus and be into the present moment. I think being mindful is being present, and learning to create awareness within yourself is only going to be able to help you flourish in the long run. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times when we are on this journey of self love, or whatever you want to call it, I think a lot of times we also forget to be grateful for what we have. And I think a lot of times we could just focus too much, whether our environment might be negative, we could focus on all the negative shit around us. But, there's something in your life there is to be grateful about. So always try to find that, optimistic thinking pattern if you can, you know what I'm saying? But one of the ways I think, mindfulness kind of brings us peace is through movement, being able to get up and move our body, right? Finding things that make you, want to get up and do something about your life. I think it's important to, get up and just fucking move your body in a way that you probably haven't done before. A lot of times it's motivation. I'll be honest, recently I've been going to this new fucking gym, and yo, I'll be honest, I've been loving it because usually I would go to like this commercial gym, and don't get me wrong, like you see some people, they'll give you some motivation, and but I feel like when you go to like a real power lifting gym or a real bodybuilding gym, you see motherfuckers work. Shit, I thought I was the big dog in my gym, but hell no, not at all. I mean, I don't think I'm that big anyway, but still, like, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times it could almost kill your ego too, because you like, damn, you thinking you're a certain way until you surround yourselves around the 1%. But overall, I think, it's important to try to do something, for your body, for your mind. I feel mindfulness is what brings us peace, and everybody has a different definition of what peace means to them. And for me, it's working out. For you, it could be something else. So, I think we just have to be able to find that. You have to be able to find that. And the only way you can find that is by trying. I think a lot of times we forget that being able to move our body is the best motherfucking thing in the world. It reduces anxiety, improves your sleep, it lowers your blood pressure. I think if we can remind ourselves to move our body more often, whether we just go outside for a motherfucking walk. I don't know. If you live in the city right now, it's brick as fuck. I ain't walking outside, but you kind of get my point. But my point is to be able to get up, do something about yourself, do something about your life. And if you don't like something, you can always change it. Remember that you can always change it. And just remember that, your body appreciates you for that. I think sometimes we could also have that fear of judgment, or, you know, going into a new setting, a new environment, and it's just fucking intimidating. But I think a lot of times we have to be able to get ourselves out that comfort zone, being willing to try. I think the perfect time is right now. And the only way that we can change to do something with our life is by taking that motherfucking control. So, I'm not going to hold you guys for too long, But I hope you guys enjoy this video. I love making these videos and I want to continue making these videos. So I'm trying my best to upload as much as I can. I've been really busy recently, but I want to make time for this. And I know I've been saying that for a while, but you know, I'm definitely going to do that. And I hope you guys enjoy this calm video. Understand that movement creates mindfulness and just get that motherfucking ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? And I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.